if it had been such a problem, if the traditional Mass was such a source of division, the bishops would have reacted, said, oh, thank you, we have this wonderful tool, and finally we're being given permission to restrict the traditional Latin Mass and to solve this great problem. But that's not what you had at all. In fact, the response of the bishops was far more representative of what was actually in the report.
The Congregation for Doctrine of the Faith sent round a short questionnaire to all the bishops of the world. There were 9 questions, and they were about how it was working out, the celebration of traditional Mass in your diocese. Is it good? Is it bad in this aspect, that aspect?
So this office, they would have been responsible for processing all of this data in all of these languages, and then writing a report for the Holy Father to give him an idea of what the survey said, seeking to be fair to all of the bishops.
Now, the relationship between the report and Traditionis Custodes is something which is obscure because, frankly, these things are never made public. Why should it be made public? It's an internal document of the Holy See. That doesn't surprise me at all.
I was able to obtain the last section, which was a collection of quotations from the bishops around the world that would have been representative of what the bishops had said as a whole. Some people who support the extraordinary form do so with ideological presuppositions. This is true of some members of any group. However, they are not representative of the entirety of the communities of faithful who participate in the extraordinary form. The question of ordinary or extraordinary form is irrelevant to our people. There is little interaction between the group of faithful and the neighboring parish and the diocese. The motu proprio Summorum Pontificum has allowed a real pacification of the liturgical issue. It has not been my experience that the extraordinary form creates division, but rather the opposite. As Pope Benedict said, we cannot abandon the rite of the Mass that has been used for centuries and say that it is no longer relevant. The possibility of celebrating the extraordinary form should be maintained. It corresponds to a real demand from rather young people. I certainly believe that Summorum Pontificum cannot simply be revoked. This would create many more problems than those we want to solve.
By all accounts, the vast majority of responses were very positive. Bishops are seeing churches burgeoning, overflowing with young families, with many kids who are joyfully faithful to the magisterium.
Many bishops are very positive. I've heard that from everyone who's seen the report. I've talked to people in the Holy See who've seen the report. The bad things cited in Traditionis Custodes, they're there, but they are in the minority.
The bishops were sending the message to stay the course with Summorum Pontificum. Yes, there could have been a slight alteration here or there, but it was overwhelmingly positive.
1 year later, approximately 75% of bishops who have the Latin Mass have not implemented Traditionis Custodes. The vast majority of them did nothing or dispensed with it.
Local bishops are seeing what they're seeing, whether they're traditional minded or not. I think most are not, but they're just seeing, wow, these are really good Catholics. They're living out what we're preaching with respect to the family life and Eucharistic devotion, and in fact, outreaches to the poor.
Actions speak louder than words. Where is this urgency that Pope Francis, where is he getting this story? Is he being misinformed?
Would it be fair if already in January 2020 there was a meeting in the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith discussing things that they want to implement to restrict the traditional Latin Mass even before the survey goes out? But what's interesting is the CDF superiors ordered a second report. The second parallel report was commissioned in November of 2020. He finished his report by Christmas of 2020, but the results still kept coming in until 2021. So, how credible can a report be if you're not basing it on all of the results? We know that it exists, but we don't know. Did the Holy Father actually see it? Was it intended to arrive at preconceived conclusions? We don't really know that. What we do know is that it was supposed to be a sort of second opinion.
You know, I wish these people who are repeating this stuff would just go and visit some of these congregations. Yeah, we got the odd, the odd person who's deeply unhappy. But let me show you a few of those in the Novus Ordo. Everyone's free to go, and you have problematic people, and you have good people, and you have people who are on a journey, and that's true of every single Mass in the Church. And if it wasn't, there'd be a problem.
You know, we now have a division that is going to have to be repaired that was based, let's be frank about this, on a false polling of the bishops of the world. The bishops of the world were not demanding a restriction of the Latin Mass. No. Most of them didn't respond to the poll. Very few seemed to be upset.